Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 3:30. Members of the public are invited to participate in this meeting of the Committee of Adjustments by attending the meeting in person at the municipal office located at 10227 Ilderton Road in Ilderton. And members of the public may also access the meeting, which will be live streamed on our Middlesex Center YouTube channel. There are no additions to the agenda to note for the July 15th Committee of Adjustments meeting. Committee, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? None for you, Frank?
Thank you. No.
Okay.
None.
For Jean. Okay. Yes, we have Councillor Coles is online. So next up, we have the adoption of the minutes of the June 17th Committee of Adjustment meeting. The motion before us is that the minutes of the June 17th Committee of Adjustment meeting be adopted as printed. And I have a mover, Councillor Shipley and Councillor Arts. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay, so current applications. Members of the public that wish to receive further notification of any of the applications being considered today, I ask that you please send an email to the Deputy Clerk at clerk@middlesexcenter.ca requesting further notification. Please be advised that comments expressed and written materials presented are a matter of public record. Members of the public that have requested to speak will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee and provide comments on the application. In keeping with our procedural bylaw and our R-zone policy, I would remind all of our meeting participants to use respectful language and uphold our values of cooperation, trust, and openness. So our first item up is item 5.1. It's an application for minor variance for 25108 Coldstream Road. And Dan Fitzgerald is the planner on file, and he's here to provide an overview of the application. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, through the chair, thanks members of the committee. So the first application on the agenda today is for 5.1, being A04 2026. And this is an application for a minor variance, which does seek relief from the bylaw to allow for home occupation to operate out of an existing accessory structure, as well as increase the maximum permitted size for a home occupation. So as proposed, the home business does include retail sales of products that are produced on site, as well as locally curated handmade products. And the applicant is also intending to include group instruction classes for art style crafts. The lands are in an agricultural area. They are on the northeast side of Coldstream Road, and they are municipally known as 25108 Coldstream Road. It does contain an existing single detached residence, a detached accessory structure, private services, as well as agricultural land. It's designated agricultural area in Middlesex County's official plan and agricultural Middlesex Center's official plan, and it is zoned A1. Staff have worked through the application process with the applicant in this case, as we did flag some initial concerns regarding the use of the building based on the requested size of the home occupation through the building department. So options were presented with the applicant in terms of upgrades to the building. But at this particular point in time, they are just requesting permission to only use 10% of the building as the limit under the building code, but building in certain flexibilities and permissions for the future should they wish to seek building permit permission to increase the occupancy of the building. And that's up to 50% in this case. So again, that would just be subject to future building upgrades. So to that effect, we have included conditions as part of the minor variance recommendation, which would limit it to that 10% of the building area unless further change of use permits are required through the building permit process. The application has been reviewed against the 4 Planning Act tests. As I did indicate in the report, I am satisfied that the proposed home occupation within the accessory structure does meet the 4 tests as it's considered minor. It is an appropriate use and it does meet the intent of the zoning bylaw and official plan. I would also note the increased opportunities for commercial business within our agricultural lands does exist within our agriculture areas as part of our new comprehensive zoning bylaw updates for on-farm diversified uses. This does represent a similar approach, but does limit what can be done on site through the home occupation provisions. Though it is noted that the owner could, in the future, use the on-farm diversified use provisions within the bylaw if they did want to expand operations at this particular site. That may be subject to future planning applications. So with that said, we are recommending approval of minor variance application A4 2026, subject to the two conditions that are listed in the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Is there a member of the public in the chamber? Oh, sorry, is the applicant or agent present in the chamber and on or online? She's not online. Would you like to comment on the application? No? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Is there a member of the public in the chamber or online that would like to comment on the application? No one? Okay. Are there any questions from the committee? No questions? No. Oh, okay. Councillor Coles, online.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, to Dan, I just had a question regarding parking spaces. Could you please comment on the amount of parking spaces that would be at this location, please?
Yeah, so through the chair, they would effectively have to identify parking within the actual site plan in front of the building for the home occupation use, but it's not something we technically generally regulate. With that said, if the applicant does want to, increase to that larger footprint of the home occupation, or sorry, the more formalized business use on the property, it's likely that we would consider some sort of minor site plan application requirement, which would identify all the required parking stalls and ensuring that it's in alignment with the zoning bylaw.
Thank you, Dan.
Okay, that's everything, Councillor Coles? Yep, okay.
Yes.
So then, thank you. So then the motion before us is that minor variance application A04 2026 filed by Jason Forward and Sabrina Free for relief from the comprehensive zoning bylaw in order to allow a home occupation to operate out of an existing detached accessory building and to increase the maximum permissible size for a home occupation up to 150 square meters for a property legally described as Part Lot 9, Lobel Concession 11, Part 1 on the reference plan 33R 469 in the municipality of Middlesex Center, County of Middlesex, and municipally known as 25108 Coldstream Road be granted to the following conditions: that the home occupation shall be limited to 30 square meters of floor space within the existing detached accessory building until they successfully apply and receive a change of use building permit. That retail display and sales shall be limited to locally procured products as well as those produced on site. And further, that the reason for granting minor variance application A04 2026, the request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Center's official plan. The request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Center's comprehensive zoning bylaw. The request is minor in nature, and the request represents appropriate development on the subject property. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Wayne and you. I looked at you. I saw you. Yes. Councillor Shipley and Councillor Arts. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Okay, item 5.2 is an application for minor variance A08 2026 for 194 Timberwalk Trail. And Dan Fitzgerald is also the planner on file and is in attendance to provide an overview of the application. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, through the chair to members of the committee. So the purpose of this application is to seek relief from the bylaw with respect to increasing the lot coverage for a single-story home. So the applicant is seeking a maximum lot coverage of 45.2% for a single detached dwelling with a rear covered porch, whereas the bylaw permits a maximum lot coverage of 40% for single-story dwellings within this particular zoning. The effect of the variance, again, would be to permit the construction of the new single detached dwelling, which in this case is really increasing due to a attached rear covered porch. So the subject lands are within the Timberwalk subdivision in Ilderton. It's bordered by residential lands on all sides. The property is designated settlement area in Middlesex County's official plan and residential in Middlesex Center's official plan. And it is zoned a urban residential first density exception 25 zone in Middlesex Center's comprehensive zoning bylaw. So we have reviewed this particular application against the 4 Planning Act tests. The increase in the size of the single detached dwelling is considered minor in nature, and it is considered an appropriate use within this particular subdivision. I would generally note it also maintains the intent of the zoning bylaw as well as the official plan. Just as a bit of background information for committee, we are more holistically working with the developer in this particular situation in the subdivision to look at lot coverages across the board for a majority of these lots. And the requested coverage in this particular case is below what we're looking at and investigating further with the developer. So with that said, I am recommending approval of minor variance application A08-2026. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. And I understand that Chris Melchers, the applicant, is online available for questions. Is there a member of the public in the chamber or online virtually that would like to comment on the application? No? Okay. Are there any questions from the committee? Nope. Okay. So the motion before us is that minor variance application A08-2026 filed by Melchers Development, Inc. for relief from the comprehensive zoning bylaw in order to permit an increase to the maximum lot coverage to 45.2% for a property legally described as Lot 17, Plan 33M 826 in the municipality of Middlesex Center, County of Middlesex, and municipally addressed 194 Timberwalk Trail be approved. And further, that the reason for granting minor variance application A08-2026, the request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Center's official plan. The request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Center's comprehensive zoning bylaw. The request is minor in nature, and the request represents appropriate development on the property. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Council. Councillor Bears. Councillor Shipley. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Okay, next up, we have 5.3, an application for minor variance for 116 Delaware Street Central. And again, Dan Fitzgerald is the planner for this file and is in attendance for an overview. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, so through the chair, the purpose of this particular application is to seek relief from Middlesex Center's zoning bylaw with respect to the construction of a new single detached dwelling on the particular parcel of land. So the applicant is seeking permission to increase the maximum height within the urban first density residential exception 4 zone. As proposed, the applicant is seeking a maximum height of 9.1 meters, whereas the bylaw permits a maximum height in this particular zone of 8.5 meters. And again, the effect would be to permit the construction of a 2-story dwelling in this particular case. This property was previously created through an application for consent and is currently vacant. It is bordered by single detached dwellings on all sides, and it does have municipal services at the property. It is zoned urban residential first density exception 4, which again does limit height to 8.5 meters in this particular zone. In comparison, the standard UR1 zone permits height up to 12 meters. So I have reviewed the particular application against the 4 Planning Act test. The applicant in this case is seeking to construct a 2-story dwelling, which is consistent generally with new construction methods and infill development both within the Camoka and Kilworth areas. I do not anticipate any negative impacts to adjacent property owners because of the height increase, so I am recommending approval of minor variance application A9-2026. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Is the applicant or agent present in the chambers or online virtually and would like to comment? No? Nope, Sophie. Is there a member of the public in the chambers or online virtually that would like to comment on the application? Quiet day. Are there any questions from the committee? Nope. Okay. So the motion before us is that minor variance application A09-2026 filed by Charlotte Petra Beeler on behalf of Leonard Bjorn Beeler for relief from the comprehensive zoning bylaw in order to permit an increase to the maximum height of 9.1 meters, 30 feet, for a single detached dwelling in the urban residential first density exception UR1-4 zone for a property legally described as lots 11 and 12, Block K, Plan 76, Part 1 on Reference Plan 33R 22057, Municipality of Middlesex Center, County of Middlesex, and addressed 116 Delaware Street Central be approved. And further, the reason for granting minor variance A09-2026, the request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Center's official plan. The request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Center's comprehensive zoning bylaw. The request is minor in nature, and the request represents appropriate development on the subject property. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councillor Beers, Councillor Arts, all in favor? And that is carried. All righty. 5.4 is an application for minor variance for 22522 Camoka Road. Dan Fitzgerald is the planner on file and is in attendance to provide us an overview. Take it away, Dan. Thank you.
Yeah, so through the chair to members of the committee, the purpose of this application is to seek relief from the bylaw with respect to the construction of a new accessory building, which is a personal workshop in this case. So the applicant is seeking a total maximum lot coverage for all accessory buildings on site of 129 square meters, which is represented as 6.4% lot coverage. Whereas the bylaw does permit a maximum of the lesser of 120 square meters or 10% lot coverage. Additionally, the applicant is also seeking permission to exceed the maximum height limit of 5.5 meters to 6.7 meters for the new workshop. And the effect of the variance would be to permit that construction of the new building in the rear yard, which is on the east side of the dwelling, which would replace a former workshop that was located in the same general area, while also maintaining an existing pool shed that is located on the lands. So the application for a minor variance did previously come before the committee, which was requesting a much larger shop in this case. However, that was denied. The applicant has revised the proposal to reduce the size of the shop while also maintaining the existing accessory building in the format of a pool shed on site. So they are seeking the increase in height to be able to have future flexibility to store an RV within the structure, as well as provide privacy from the neighboring parcel in this particular case. So staff did work with the applicant on the revised proposal for the size as well as the height of the building. It is noted that the lot is generally 2 to 3 feet lower than the abutting parcel. And as such, the increase in height is not considered to have a negative impact on those neighboring lands. So in review, I am satisfied that the revised proposal does meet the 4 tests of the Planning Act As it is minor in nature, it is considered appropriate development, and it does meet the intent of the zoning bylaw and official plan. So therefore, I am recommending approval of minor variance application A10 2026. Thanks.
Thank you, Dan. Is the applicant or agent present in the chambers or online and would like to comment on the application? Oh, no, they emailed. Yeah, they're away. Yes. Is there a member of the public in the chamber or online that would like to comment? Okay. Are there any questions from the committee? Okay, I have a comment for this file, is just to say thanks for revising it. I think that it's a much better fit, and I do get the height difference, etc. Don't live too far from there, so I drove by, and so thanks for the revision. As a side question, what's the difference on this application versus another one? Like when we say on another application, 45% lot coverage, where here we've got 10% of lot coverage. What's the difference of the two?
Yeah, so through the chair, so like in the previous application that we heard today, the 45% lot coverage was specifically speaking to lot coverage for all structures on site.
Oh,
Where in this case, the 10% is the maximum limit just for an accessory building.
okay. Alrighty. Thank you, Dan. The motion before us is that minor variance application A10 2026, filed by Garrett Allen and Simone Ferrari, for relief from the comprehensive zoning bylaw in order to permit an increase to the maximum lot coverage for all accessory buildings from 120 square meters to 129 square meters, and to increase the height for an accessory building from 5.5 meters to 6.7 meters for a property legally described as Block C, Lot 1 to 2, Plan 76, Geographic Township of Lobel, Municipality of Middlesex Center, County of Middlesex, and municipally addressed 22522 Kamoka Road be approved. And further, that the reason for granting the minor variance application A10 2026, the request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Center's official plan. The request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Center's comprehensive zoning bylaw. The request is minor in nature, and the request represents appropriate development on the subject property. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Shipley, Councillor Bears, all in favor, and that is carried. Thank you. 5.5 is an application for minor variance for 143 Timberwalk Trail. And Marion is not here, so I'm sure Dan is the man. Dan, thank you, Dan.
Through the chair, thanks members of the committee, just filling in here. So the purpose of this application is to seek relief from Middlesex Center's bylaw with respect to the construction of a new dwelling with a rear covered deck or partially covered deck. So the applicant is seeking to increase the maximum encroachment of a deck into the required rear yard by 1.6 meters to 3.1, which affects a portion of the entire deck. Whereas the bylaw does permit a maximum encroachment in total of 1.5 meters. So the effect of the variance would be to permit the construction of that elevated portion of deck that does extend from the main floor into the rear yard. The width of the entire deck is approximately 3 meters and is partially covered. The applicant does note that an easement does run along the southeast property line, which results in orienting the dwelling on an angle, as well as the deck encroaching into the rear yard. So we did receive a question on that particular easement in advance of the meeting today. So I was able to speak with our Public Works and Engineering group. There is a 3-meter easement between the both properties in this particular case, and that is for a storm sewer line that runs basically through the property line within the two properties into a catch basin at the rear. So the subject lands are located within the Timberwalk subdivision in Ilderton, and they are currently vacant of any development. Surrounding land uses include the existing as well as future low-density residential uses. both to the north and east, and there is an existing woodland as well as trail that are located immediately west behind the property. It is designated settlement area in Middlesex County's official plan, residential in Middlesex Center's official plan, and it's zoned urban residential first density exception 25. The planning staff have reviewed the minor variance against the four tests of the Planning Act. For the reasons that we have listed in the report, we don't see any negative potential impact of this particular encroachment into the rear yard, particularly because the rear yard behind this property is a natural woodland, which would be protected. So given the above, staff are recommending approval of minor variance application A11-2026. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Is the applicant or agent present in the chamber or online virtually and would like to comment? Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Is there a member of the public that would like to comment on the application? Nope. Okay. Are there any questions from the committee? I have one just for my own curiosity. Is the easement, is it a storm pipe in the ground or is it like a swale?
Yeah, so through the chair, in this particular case, it's actually a storm pipe that's underground, which connects from the roadway to a catch basin behind the properties.
Okay, thank you. So the motion before us is that minor variance application A11-2026 filed by Saratoga Homes Limited for relief from the comprehensive zoning bylaw in order to permit an increase to the maximum encroachment for a deck from 1.5 meters to 3.1 meters in the rear yard for a property legally described as Plan 33M 836, Lot 36, Geographic Township of London, Municipality of Middlesex Center, County of Middlesex, and known municipally as 143 Timberwalk Trail be granted, subject to the following conditions: that only the deck be permitted to encroach into the rear yard setback, and further that the reason for granting minor variance application A11-2026, the request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Center's official plan, and the request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Center's comprehensive zoning bylaw. The request is minor in nature, and the request represents appropriate development on the subject property. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Bears? Councillor Coles? Okay, I just thought about her. Hey. Okay, all in favor? Okay, and that is carried. Okay, next up, we have 5.6 is an application for consent B11-2026 and B12-2026 and zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 12-2026 for 9574 Ilderton Road. And Dan's covering this one, so you'd like to provide an overview, please? Thank you.
Through the chair to members of committee. So before us today, we've got two consent applications as well as a concurrent zoning bylaw amendment application. So the application B11-2026 is to sever a residence that's considered surplus to a farm operation due to the result of a consolidation. So the lot is proposed to have a frontage of approximately 42 meters as well as an area of 1 acre. The remnant farm parcel in this particular case would have a frontage of approximately 557 meters and an area of 88.2 acres. Additionally, as considered in consent application B12-2026, they've also applied for consent to establish a maintenance and access easement, which is intended to capture an existing geothermal loop system, which is approximately 6 meters wide and 183 meters in length. So I would also note the applicant has also applied for a zoning bylaw amendment application, that being ZBA 12-2026. And that's proposed to rezone the severed lands from an agricultural A1 zone to a surplus residence zone. as well as the remnant farm parcel from an agricultural A1 zone to an agricultural no residence A3 zone, which is consistent with our policy. The subject land is located on the northeast side of Ilderton Road in Amiens. The land does contain an existing single detached dwelling, as well as private services, and is accessed from Ilderton Road. And a farm building is accessed from Amiens Road. The land does contain a regulated area and is part of a natural heritage system with significant woodlands as well as provincially significant wetlands. It is surrounded primarily by agricultural lands and crop production on all sides, as well as the natural heritage system. The lands are designated agricultural Middlesex Center's official plan and zoned agricultural A1 in the comprehensive zoning bylaw. So staff have reviewed the application against the provincial planning statement, the county's official plan, as well as Middlesex Center's official plan. We are satisfied that a consolidation is occurring. Also, the size of the proposed severed lands is limited to the land that is considered necessary for the residential use, as well as the associated services in this case. The concurrent easement as well as rezoning also ensure that the existing utilities are maintained and that no additional residence would be constructed on the remnant farm parcel as required by policy. So, consistent with the analysis in the report, I am recommending approval of both consent applications B11 2026 and B12 2026, as well as approval of zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 12 2026. I'm certainly available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. And is the applicant or agent present? Did you have anything you'd like to say? Okay, all righty, thank you. Is there members of the public in the chamber or online that would like to comment on the application? Nope, okay. Are there any questions from the committee? No, all righty. So that means no? Okay, that's okay. The motion before us is that consent application B11 2026 filed by Tracy Skinner on behalf of George and Douglas Skinner Farms Corp. in order to sever a residential surplus to a farm operation as a result of consolidation from a lot legally described as Concession 9, Part Lot 1 of the former Township of Lowell in the Municipality of Middlesex Center, County of Middlesex, and known municipally as 5474 Ilderton Road be granted, subject to conditions. And further, that consent application B11 2026 be subject to the 19 conditions as printed in the agenda, and further that the reason for granting consent application B11 2026 include the proposal is consistent with the provincial planning statement 2024. The proposal conforms to the County of Middlesex official plan and the Middlesex Center official plan, and subject to the conditions, the proposal would comply with the Middlesex Center comprehensive zoning bylaw. The next motion before we do one at a time? Well, okay, so we got to jump ahead then to this one.
We'll just get a mover in a second.
Yeah, okay, so for the first two, do we have a mover and a seconder? Counselor Bears and Counselor Arts, all in favor? All righty, so then we'll move on to the next motion. That consent application B12, sorry, we only just did the one, and now we're going to the two, and then we have a third. That consent application B12 2026 to establish a servicing, maintenance, and access easement for the existing geothermal line in favor of the severed lands conditionally approved in severance application B11 2026, described as Concession 9, Part Lot 1, former Township of Lowell in the Municipality of Middlesex Center, County of Middlesex, and known municipally as 9574 Ilderton Road be granted, subject to the conditions, and further that consent B12 12, 2026 be subject to the 7 conditions as printed on the agenda. And further, that the reason for granting consent application B12, 2026 include the proposal is consistent with the provincial planning statement. The proposal conforms to the County of Middlesex official plan and the Middlesex Center official plan. The proposal complies with the Middlesex Center comprehensive zoning bylaw. And so can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Counselor Shipley, Counselor Bears, all in favor? Oh, and Jean, thank you. Okay, so then the third one is the other motion before us is that zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 12, 2026, filed by Tracy Skinner on behalf of George and Douglas Skinner Farms Corp. To rezone the land known as 9574 Ilderton Road from the agricultural A1 zone to surplus residential zone, SR, and agricultural no residence, A3 zone, for the severed retained lands of consent application B11, 2026 be approved. And further, that the implementing bylaw be forwarded to council for consideration once a deposited reference plan has been provided to the satisfaction of the municipality. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Counselor Bears, Counselor Arts, and all in favor? And that is carried as well. All righty, so now we move on to correspondence. There are no correspondence item to note for the July 15th, 26 Committee of Adjustments. Is there any other business that the committee would like to discuss? No? Okay, having said that, the motion before us is that the Committee of Adjustments for the Municipality of Middlesex Center adjourns the July 15th committee meeting at 4:07. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Counselor Bears, Counselor Shipley, and all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you, everybody.